All right, this is your quiz review, and we're going to go through it fairly quickly since we don't have class today. All right, it is asking you to give 3 valid things that are congruent about the triangles below. It can be anything. It can be a set of angles that are congruent, a set of sides that are congruent, or the actual triangle statement saying that they are congruent. So, angle T, as it has 2 swoops, is going to be congruent to angle G because it also has 2 swoops. If you wanted to, you could also some other angle ones that you could list. You could list angle P is congruent to angle H. Angle W is congruent to angle D. If you wanted to list sides, I'm going to do one of each on here. Sides, I'm going to say side TP. And remember, you have to have the line over it if it's a side, angle in front of it if it's an angle, is congruent to side GH. If you wanted the other, so that was TP and GH. So if you wanted the other side congruence statements, it could be PW is congruent because it has the 1 tick mark. So it's going to be congruent to HD. Remember, the order does matter. So we went from 1 to 3. So 1 to 3. And then the second one or the other one would be DG is congruent to WT. All right, the last type of congruent statement that you can give here is a triangle congruent statement, which gives all 3 letters of the triangle. So it would be, I would do PTW is congruent to triangle HGD. That way, I just went from 1 swoop to 2 to 3. There's a bunch of different ways that you can write that as long as they are matching up with the angles they are congruent with. All right, looking here, it gives you a set of triangles that are congruent, and it asks you to list all congruent angles and all congruent sides. So congruent angles, angle A is congruent to angle M. Angle B is congruent to angle N. And angle E is congruent to angle P. Now we want to look at the sides. Remember, sides, you have to have 2 letters that are next to each other listed. So AB, or that's the easiest way to start. AB is congruent to M. That was a terrible M. MN with the line segments over them. The next one that I would do would be BE is congruent to NP because yet again, those are the ones that are next to each other. And now I'm going to do first and last. So AE is congruent to MP. So those are all my sides that are congruent. And now I need to give another valid triangle congruency statement. So we can just read each of these backwards. It can be EBA is congruent to triangle PNM. All right, on this one, I think you ought to try it first on your own if you have not tried it yet. Pause it now, and then you can hit play, and I will go over the answers. So if you're looking at this, we can say the angle Q is congruent to angle J. Angle R is congruent to angle L, 0/2, and angle Y is congruent to angle S. Looking at the sides, QR is going to be congruent to JL. RY is going to be congruent to LS. And QY is congruent to JS. And another congruency statement, we can yet again just write them backwards. YRQ is congruent to triangle SLJ. All right, looking at these next problems, it is actually asking you for something very specific. It's not just asking you to list them in whatever order you want. You need to look at what's given and find the answer. So line CE is going to be congruent to line PR because C and E were first and last, so P and R are first and last. Then we have TR. So if we're looking at TR, we are going to see T and R are the last two, so we want to go FE, still in order on the last two there. Then you want to look at the next one, CF Actually, let me change colors. CF, so the first two is going to be PT. And hopefully you're seeing how these kind of match up, and so you can do that on your own and try them, and then just check your answers. Angle P is going to be congruent to angle C. Angle E is congruent to angle R because it's last, and angle F is congruent to angle T. Now, these are where some of y'all struggle with these triangle congruent statements. So I'm going to try to draw it out to help you see kind of how I relate them. All right, so we know that, so this is asking for RPT. So if you look back at the middle column, you'll see that angle R correlates with angle E. So that needs to go first because R was first. Then P was next. Well, P correlates with C, so that goes next. And T correlates with F, so that goes last. I'm going to erase those arrows. I'm going to do it again on the next one in a different color. Hopefully this is helping you kind of see how writing all of that out helps you. So F correlates to T, so triangle T. E correlates to R. C correlates to P. All right, looking at the last one. R correlates to E. T correlates to F. And P correlates to C. So there we have all of our congruent statements. Hopefully this makes sense. All right, looking at these next ones where some people struggled, I will say we're not going to do number 6. I'm going to go ahead and cross that one out. Some people are struggling seeing the pairs and understanding how to write them in the correct order. So what you want to do is you want to label what we have pairs of first. So I have a pair of sides, I have a pair of angles, and then I have another pair of sides. So what you want to do is you want to look for what's kind of like an edge, what like part of the triangle where we haven't really labeled something. Use that as an edge and then look at it from the beginning to the end of the edge. And that's how you're going to see that this is side, angle, side. Some other students have expressed that they have trouble not remembering, which ones are congruent, which ones aren't. So make sure you're practicing your Delta Math to get some practice there, but it's listed for you up here, and that's also going to be listed on the quiz. So those are your 6 options: not congruent, side, 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 angle, 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 side, or HL. All right, looking at number 2, we have a set of angles on the outside. We have a set of angles on the inside. And then we don't really have anything else already marked, but we can look and see that we have a joined side in the middle. So that side is shared between both triangles. So we can actually go ahead and mark that as well with a tick mark and label both sides. So then we want to say, okay, well, this side and angle is kind of like my edge because it's not being used for anything. So then if I go around like this, I'm going to see that I have angle, angle, side. All right, looking at number 3, I have a set of sides. I have a set of angles. And then I still yet again have that same joint side in the middle. So I'm going to mark the sides on both of those. But this one doesn't really have an edge because there's a lot of things that are skipped, or it would be that cuss word that we're not going to write on our paper. So what we do want to look at, though, is that they're right angles. So with right angles, we can test hypotenuse leg. So it looks like we have the hypotenuse. So that's good so far. And then we do have one of the legs. So that's also good. So then we can use HL for this one. All right, number 4. We have a set of angles here. I have another set of angles here. And then if I look in the middle, I notice that I have vertical angles, so I can actually mark those congruent as well. And that means that this would be angle, 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 but if you notice, that's not an option up top. Angle, angle, angle is only a similarity statement, not a congruence statement. So these are going to be not congruent. All right, look at number 5, the last one we have. We have a set of sides. We have another set of sides on the bottom, then a third set of sides in the middle. So it doesn't really matter where you use as your edge, but I'm going to use up here at this angle, and I'm going to follow it around, and I have side, side, side. Hopefully this helped you work through these and see some of them. Don't forget to take your quiz. It is due by the start of class tomorrow. I will have office hours if you want to come to that and ask some questions. I do have some more practice problems that we can do. All right, guys, have a good day.